Rêve donc de nouer des partenariats gagnants et durables avec les acteurs africains qui ont au préalable fait l'objet de diligence. On en parle sur TWILIGHT ce soir avec Guy Gouet, qui est le président du Centre africain de veille et de l'intelligence économique. Vous avez une activité à Lomé au Togo du 28 au 29 novembre.
C'est exact.
Oui,
c'est exact. Nous avons le premier salon des partenariats d'affaires qualifiés, donc qui va se dérouler au siège international des Ecobank. Et donc il va regrouper, sans publicité bien entendu, sur le continent africain, des acteurs africains, que ce soit du monde de l'entreprise, du monde des organisations non gouvernementales, par exemple les fondations, que ce soit même des établissements d'enseignement supérieur, qui souhaitent nouer des partenariats, soit entre eux, soit alors avec des partenaires internationaux, d'une part, et d'autre part, les acteurs qui viennent de l'international et qui ont besoin de la lisibilité dont nous parlions tout à l'heure avant le journal, eh bien, qui ont besoin de lisibilité, de savoir à qui ils ont affaire, eh bien, c'est le grand rassemblement de ces différents acteurs-là qui va se dérouler donc les 28 et 29 novembre à Lomé.
Alors, on aura là-bas des personnes physiques et morales qui devront donc au préalable, enfin, c'est un préalable, vous dites à l'effet de signer des partenariats?
C'est ça, ils ont l'obligation de remplir un formulaire de 3 pages qu'on leur remet, qui donne des renseignements sur leur entreprise, leur activité, leur chiffre d'affaires, etc. Informations que nous vérifions et que nous transformons en un profil qui sera disponible à partir du 20 novembre sur le site internet du Centre africain de veille et d'intelligence économique, de telle manière que lorsque vous demandez à rentrer en contact en vue d'un partenariat à un autre acteur, eh bien vous accédez à son profil, lui aussi il accède au vôtre et donc vous savez parfaitement à qui vous avez affaire.
Alors, l'activité de Lomé au Togo, qu'est-ce que le Cameroun gagne?
Le Cameroun, il faut déjà préciser que le Cameroun est un tout petit peu le pays organisateur parce que le Centre africain de veille et d'intelligence économique est né ici à Yaoundé, mais nous sommes une organisation panafricaine. Donc nous allons vendre le meilleur de l'Afrique au reste du monde. Alors bien évidemment, il y a des particularités entre le Cameroun et le Togo qui font, le chef de l'État le disait tout à l'heure dans son intervention, qui font que le Togo comme Cameroun, ce sont deux pays qui ont d'abord connu la colonisation allemande, ensuite on a été sous tutelle et puis sous mandat, donc successivement des Nations Unies et puis de l'Organisation des Nations Unies, donc de la Société des Nations et de l'ONU plus tard. Donc c'est des pays qui se ressemblent, y compris en termes de climat, et donc les acteurs économiques qui vont partir du Cameroun, les acteurs du monde humanitaire qui vont partir du Cameroun vont nouer des rapports tout à fait singuliers au nom de cette histoire-là, mais aussi et surtout au nom des relations d'amitié et de coopération qui existent déjà entre les deux pays.
Alors, Monsieur Guy Gouet, donc, vous êtes le président du Centre africain de veille et de l'intelligence économique. Nous vous souhaitons bon vent.
Merci à vous et vivement que nous accueillons plus d'organisations camerounaises à ce premier salon qui est d'une importance singulière.
Le message est passé. Dans un instant, ce sera le supplément international.
L'économie au Cameroun, comment se porte-t-elle? Ressources répond tous les mercredis sur CRTV News. Découvrez les évolutions dans le monde de la finance, le commerce, l'industrie, l'agriculture dès 9h15. Informez-vous à bonne source sur Ressources.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.
International supplement talk about the stakes of the second Paris Peace Forum. Et j'accueille pour en parler Gladys Asu.
Yes, Solange Abesolo, good evening. It's to understand that the Paris Peace Forum is part of the momentum launched by French President Emmanuel Macron to reaffirm the importance of multilateralism and collective action in facing current challenges. Well, the second Paris Peace Forum which began today, brought together 30 heads of state, half of them Africans, and some international organizations taking part. So, giving an opening address today, President Emmanuel Macron made an impassioned plea for multilateralism. Macron called on all delegates to come together to fight climate change, terrorism, economic inequalities, and disinformation and cybercrime. Take a listen.
Première édition, il y avait beaucoup de monde, puisque c'était le centenaire de l'armistice. Donc nous avions réussi à attraper plus de 60 chefs d'État et de gouvernement, et il y avait, si je puis dire, les charmes de l'inconnu. La deuxième édition, c'est au fond commencer à devenir un rendez-vous stable. Et il peut y avoir les risques de l'habitude. Et donc votre présence ici, votre engagement, tout autant que vous êtes, sont un test de réalité pour nous et la preuve que c'est en train de prendre, mais qu'il nous faut aussi bâtir quelque chose de durable, c'est-à-dire d'utile.
Well, you just heard from the French President. Joining us now live through WhatsApp is Paul Yombo, an internationalist, who is going to share with us his views on the Peace Forum. Hello, Paul. The theme for this year is defending multilateralism. Is coming back in this year in the center of deliberations of the Peace Forum. Now, what do you have to say about this at a time when protectionism and nationalism is growing in the world?
Thank you, Gladys. Indeed, the theme of multilateralism is increasingly important in an international context where the world is threatened by a series of destabilizing economic, environmental, and climatic crises. All this in addition to the migration crisis and a series of threats which are terrorism, chemical and nuclear proliferation, and cybersecurity threats. It's indeed increasingly important that all the major stakeholders, be they governments, non-governmental organizations, or multilateral corporations, have a platform where they can discuss and foster common grounds for a more peaceful outcome in the next years.
Well, Paul, like you rightly said, major stakeholders have to create a common ground for a peaceful outcome in the years that follow. So for now, China is present at the forum, but the U.S. isn't. What do you think is the future for the U.S.-China trade war?
Well, there are a series of factors that will determine the future of U.S.-China relationships. First of all, there's the political context. We know in the next upcoming months, there's going to be presidential elections in the US, and China has been on the agenda. We have had, for the last 3 years, an American president that has been hell-bent on fighting China on what has become clearly a trade war between the US and China. We have front runners in the upcoming elections, especially in the Democrat camp, that have softer positions vis-a-vis China. So we'll have to have a keen eye to look at the evolutions in the domestic political situation in the US and what is going to be its foreign policy towards China. Second of all, we have the evolutions, the mutations that are going on inside the Chinese economy. China has been trying to catch up technologically to the West for the last 20, 30 years. Now it's more or less done. So the Chinese economy is going to be an innovation economy. That means that its strategic objectives are going to be more and more similar to those of America and the Western world in general. So you'll have to keep in mind that the protection of intellectual property, which it has been very loose on, will be an important part in its agenda right now. So these two political and economic mutations will structure the future of US-China relationships.
Now, Paul, do you think France can really rebuild multilateralism? And if it's actually a forum for global governance, why does Macron call it the Paris Peace Forum? Is it for his own gain or political gain or for global change?
Well, that's a pretty big question. France definitely can't build, by definition, multilateralism alone, because multilateralism entails the partnership and the buy-in from a multiple diverse number of actors. And when you look at how Emmanuel Macron has been organizing these meetings for the second year in a row now, you can certainly see that he's very well aware of this, and he's been trying to be as inclusive and as broad-based as possible, inviting heads of states from all the continents, inviting NGOs that sometimes have had conflictual relationships with the French government, and really casting the net large so that everybody feels as a part of this initiative. But more importantly, you are correct. France is trying to forward its own geopolitical agenda. It's always important to be at the center of global events such as these ones, especially since we have had for the last 3 years an American president that has been saying America first, and that has been pulling out from international trade agreements, that has been undermining and considerably criticizing big multilateral agreements, which is very unlike America, that has often been termed as the leader of the free world. So the leader of the free world is criticizing the structures of the free world it helped to institute itself. And it's in this vacuum, this power vacuum, that Emmanuel Macron has been trying to fill in the role of global head of the multilateral coalition. And he has, in the last 2 years, known a few successes and a few failures in this domain. We've seen the pivotal role he played in the Iranian nuclear crisis, for example.
Now, some questions have been raised on social media that just like the United Nations, the Peace Forum is aimed at finding solutions to global challenges ranging from climate change and terrorism to migration and cyber crimes. Don't you think Macron's Peace Forum is getting in the way of the United Nations, or is doing what the United Nations is supposed to do?
Well, a few days ago, on the 24th of October, the UN was celebrating its 74th birthday, and there have been a series of rising criticisms against the UN, saying that it is an old machine that is incapable of tackling the new threats of today: terrorism, cyber terrorism, nuclear proliferation, global warming. But nevertheless, the UN still has its role to play in international cooperation. The UN was created mainly to avoid the Third World War, and there hasn't been a Third World War since 1945. So the UN is to be credited in part for that, and it still has its role to play. But nevertheless, this does not mean that the UN should be the only platform for multilateral consultation, and that there is no space for meetings such as the Paris Peace Agreement. I think that the Paris Peace Agreement as an international regime has its importance, and that on domains that touch on the competency or domains of intervention of the UN, that relevant coordination will have to take place. And in that way, there can be a productive synergy between the action of the Paris Peace Forum and the United Nations agencies.
Now, Paul, skewing down to Africa, Cameroon is a participating country in this three-day event. Now, with the ongoing socio-political crisis, why should we care about global politics, and what should we expect from the president as a take-home package from the forum?
Well, we should care about the issues raised in the Paris Peace Forum, because Cameroon is a part of the international community. Cameroon has been affected by the threats that are trying to be solved at Paris during these 3 days. For example, global warming has affected Cameroon, especially in its northern part, where the Lake Chad Basin, the drying up of the Lake Chad Basin has had a direct impact on fishermen and on farmers in the north of Cameroon. Furthermore, terrorism, whether the Boko Haram threat, continues to strike in the northern parts of the country, and Cameroon has to have a coordinated response, not only with sub-regional actors, but with global actors. And second of all, we can expect from the president to represent Cameroon and to make Cameroon's voice, opinion, and influence be felt in the international scene. And that's what the president is doing by himself going to Paris and representing the country.
Now, before you leave us, Paul, the first forum, 10 projects were selected to receive year-long support, all under climate change, terrorism, migration, and cybercrimes. What should we expect from the final decisions this year?
Well, I think we should expect this Paris Peace Summit to decide on a certain number of new priority areas of intervention for France and its partners who are present for these 3 days in Paris for the summit. But more importantly, the Paris Peace Summit is in and of itself a statement, a positive statement in favor of multilateralism and cooperation and Pacific humanist values in a world that is undergoing a series of torments. That is the major takeaway from the Paris Peace Summit, though we need to be attentive to the geopolitical reorganization of the world, reconfiguration of the world that is going on today, and how platforms such as the Paris Peace Summit are going to weigh on these new transformations.
Well, thank you, Paul, for contributing to the program, and we hope to have you next time, God willing.
Thank you very much for having me, Gladys, and I look forward to being your guest once again.
Okay, that was Paul Yombo, internationalist, talking to us or contributing live through WhatsApp. Solange, we've come to the end of the supplement this evening.
Merci beaucoup Gladys Asu. Merci surtout, on retient pour cette édition de Toilette que le président de la République a participé au débat sur le thème reconnaître le Sud comme une gouvernance mondiale plus équilibrée. C'est donc au cours du forum sur la paix qui se tient en ce moment même à Paris, en France. Pour en parler, on a reçu le ministre plénipotentiaire, docteur Paul Bati-Bonac, spécialiste des relations internationales. Mesdames, Messieurs, merci d'avoir suivi et à bientôt.